Hey comic book fans, and welcome to another suddenlycomics.com video. Right, so a few months ago, I think probably in the last couple of months of last year, I put a video out about how to use Go Collect. And at the time, they'd just done an update on Go Collect, which was a disaster. However, I am glad to report that a number of improvements have occurred on Go Collect recently that has got it so it's just about usable again. Right, so when the problem that's occurred on Go Collect, and after they'd sort of had them for sort of 6 weeks to 2 months and little appeared to have been done, I did look at moving off Go Collect as my main tool for cataloguing and valuing my comic collection. But I'd put about 2,000 entries into Go Collect, so moving away to somewhere else was going to be fairly painful. I did look at cover price, but the major thing that stopped me moving to cover price was that you can't put as much information in on cover price as you can in Go Collect. So in Go Collect, you can put where you purchased your comic and what price you paid for it. You can't do that on cover price. So I made the decision to stick with Go Collect and hope that things got better. Well, I am pleased to report that things are eventually now getting better. 3 things have improved recently, and I'm going to show you those. So this is the main dashboard page, and here you can see my notifications. So I'm tracking some comics. I'm tracking, Iron Man 55, Fantastic 450, and this tells me comics that I've set up to tell me when there's a sort of a major sale of these types of comics, and they come up on my dashboard. So I can see those as they're occurring. Also, we're still getting the good articles from appear. So this one appeared today. Does great comic writing equal good investment? Good article. I enjoyed that. We can still get the market overview, which tells you, which are the key comics. What this tells you is which comics have sold the most in the last. This one's set up for 30 days, and we can see here the top selling comic. Graded comic on all ages is Moon Knight. So what has improved recently? Right, as I said, I'm going to go to something called My Lists and Trackers. So this shows you my comic lists. Now, one of the things that happened when they updated the system was that quite a lot of doubling up occurred. And I think it was because they obviously retrieved the data twice. And so I ended up with a number of my titles here being doubled up. So for instance, I had 2 Black Panther titles. Now, for a long period of time, I couldn't get rid of the second listing, which was annoying. However, now, if you have got a comic listing and it's got no comics in it, you can delete it. Hooray! So you'll see now on my comic listings, there's no duplication of titles. Right, one of the other things that occurred is we didn't just get duplication of titles, we also got duplication of comics. So if I go to my Marvel Comic Presents, here we go. So here I've got it's showing 2 issues of Marvel Comics Presents 64. This is just a duplication of the same comic. I have not got 2 copies of this, both of which cost me $1.25. So up until recently, you couldn't get rid of the duplicate, but now I am delighted to say you can click on it and they put a delete function in. and you can confirm removal. Hooray! So this one you can see here, this is a duplicate as well, so I can get rid of that. So this is great. So I've now been able to start cleaning up and getting rid of the duplicates off my lists, which is excellent. Right, and maybe the biggest move forward as far as I'm concerned on Go Collect is that once the update had occurred, if you've got a list, it just sort of came up in a sort of random order. I think it was based on the order in which you had input the comics, which is useless for trying to find. So if you look at this, some of my lists here are quite large. So if we go to this one, for instance, miscellaneous Marvel, I've got 254 entries in here. Well, in order to find something, it needs to be in some sort of logical order. I am now delighted to say that they have now got these in alphabetical order. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Okay, so now if I'm looking for a comic, I can, I've got to remember which list I put it in, but usually I'm pretty sure which list I put it in. And then I can generally find it because they're now in alphabetical order. Right, which is fantastic, big improvement. Okay, right, what is still not correct? Well, let's have a go at this. So if I type in, let's type in Marvel Chillers 7. Okay, so I can see I've got that comics, but if I was just searching Marvel Chillers 7. Okay, so the first thing is I've searched for it. It doesn't tell me that I've got it. Okay, it lists the comics. So it's obviously that one, Marvel Chillers 7. So I'm going to click on that. Right, and as it's pretty good, you know, it tells me all about it. But what it doesn't do, and what the previous system used to do, is if you started looking at a comic and you had a copy, it would show the copies you'd got of it and enable you to link to that copy. Okay, that's something that's still missing on this, and you know, so I would have to remember that I'd got Marvel Chillers 7 in order to compare and, you know, check and enable myself to do so. You know, it's fine when it's, you know, if it's something like a comic that I know I've got. So what I would generally do if I want to check up, see how something's doing, I'd go to my lists and trackers. Let's look up a big book. So I'm going to go to Fantastic Four. There we go. And so Fantastic Four number 49. Okay, let's go for Fantastic Four 48. So it tells me I've got a CGC 50 off-white. So if I then click on that, it'll tell me about the comic. Okay, so it brings up the comic. That's my comic. So I can then go a view comic. Right, and this brings me up the latest information on Fantastic Four 48. So, you know, mine is a 50, so I can go and have a look at the 50s. I can see the latest, the 30-day average. So the FMV is 3,100. The 30-day average is 2,775. So this looks like it's dipped. You can also go in and have a look at the price chart, and like a lot of comics, it has come off its peak, but it's, you know, it's where it was in May 21 last year. So, you know, it's about holding its value over the course of a year. It's a bit down from the peak in September there, but you know, it's holding its value. And you know, I can I can go back, and from this, because I came from my comic, I can just hit the back button and then I can see my comic, and I've currently got this as being right now. What's interesting here is, so the fair market value of this they've got listed is 3,100. Okay, I paid 1,900 for mine. Here we go. So what is it? So if I go to the value listing, let's go back and we go to the value report. Let's see if on the value report it's got the same fair market value as it was showing, because this is one of the other issues, is the fair market values. There we go. Fantastic Four, there's 49. Right, so here it's saying there's the Fantastic Four 48, and it's saying the fair market value is 2,300. Right, and if we go back, here and we go to the 50, it says the fair market value is 3,100. So the fair market value it's reporting on the report is incorrect, and that needs correcting. I mean, that is a pretty serious problem where you're not reporting the correct fair market value on people's comics. So currently I'm ignoring what's coming up in the valuation report on my CGC comics. You know, I would have said that's high now because of the dip. I would have said probably more like this 90-day average of 2.7 is correct for this comic. Right, so as I say, things have improved. You now can delete redundant lists. You now can delete duplicate comics, and the listings are now in alphabetical order. Hooray! However, the fair market values are not correct still on the value listings, and you can't see, if you bring a comic up, you can't see whether you own it or not immediately. However, things have improved. I'm delighted. It's now usable. It's now usable, and I am sort of updating my lists, getting rid of all the duplicates. And hopefully I'll soon be able to get a sensible valuation on my comic collection again. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this update. Enough said.